Why does your one setup look so weird? How do you trigger cast on crit? And where do I even start with the build? These and more questions we are going to answer today. I have received a lot of these, and yeah, today we're going into the most important ones, or those that I've received multiple times. Also, by the end of the video, I'll talk about the giveaway happening this weekend, where I'm giving away my character and pretty much everything in my possession and more. Also, I want to quickly talk about what I'm up to until league launch of PoE1 and what we've been doing over the last couple of days. But first of all, let's dive into the questions. First, a couple of questions about Doedres itself. The first question would be, how much curse activation speed do you actually need to drop wind screams? And I myself have never won wind screams. I haven't even tried it with. I mean, I've picked them once just to compare, but I didn't seem them too useful because the boots itself are way too bad. Wind screams just make it so that your curse activation is instant. Here, basically all the stats they have is some energy shield, some movement speed, intelligence, and curse activation instant, and some cast speed, but overall not too great boots. I myself only have the Impending Doom cluster, which in total is 80% increased curse activation, which for me was totally fine. I'm not running Whispers of Doom anymore, but even with Whispers of Doom I still was only running the Impending Doom cluster. However, I would not drop this cluster. While it is not much, this really makes difference, and you see it is kinda quickly, like we don't have to wait for a long time. And if I take it out, we just notice the increase is quite substantial, and then it can make mapping feel actually pretty bad. So I would not drop this cluster, but I also would not take more than this cluster if I don't get it from a somewhat free source. The second question is, why do I need so much intelligence when I'm playing Bloodmage and we don't use mana at all? We have 755 intelligence. I was jumping between 7 and 900 with different gear, but currently we are sitting at 755. The reason for this is very simple. We are running the Doedres Undoing gem, and the Doedres Dark Design scales with 200% of your intelligence as base damage. So basically, every single point of intelligence is 2 base damage, so we want a lot of intelligence to have a lot of damage to trigger cast on crit or just outright kill our enemies. And can I level with this build? Where does it come online? Well, this is a fairly simple question to answer because Doedres Undoing has a requirement of level 65, so until level 65 you will have to do something different because the gem just does not work. So basically I was leveling it with Essence Drain Contagion, which is very chill, with some leveling gear. Like I was using, I have my leveling gear, like something like a big life sprig, Doedres Tenure, and always upgrading the shield to something with plus level 2 spells, and then you should just breeze through it. Like Essence Drain Contagion is a very strong leveling skill, and you shouldn't really have any troubles with it. Then how important is the level of the Despair skill? Well, I have mine at 26 and it feels pretty good. So what you need to know is you need level 19 to be able to curse all enemies, because the level requirement of the enemy is removed at level 19. At previous levels you would have downside of not being able to curse very high level enemies. However, the biggest reason why we are leveling this is for one, the minus curse resistance, but more so the area. The area really is the big part, because in the area heavily scales with the level. So really I would go as high as possible, as high as it is sustainable. Mine costs 1.3k life right now, but we are actually not running efficiency anymore. I was running efficiency sometimes, but overall we swapped around the gem setups a lot here, which also brings me to my next questions. Why does your Power Siphon setup look so weird? Well, and the reason for that is I don't care about which type of wand I'm using. I was playing around with the Duelist wand for Slinger, but I didn't really deem it useful enough to use it, to warrant it. So I was just going with the next best wand I was finding. Or crafting. And the reason why these setups look so weird, the same with the Comet here, is because all of these supports were supports I was testing for my Despair setup. I just wanted them close to swap around, So my power siphon setup and the second comet setup are just swap-ins for my despair. Which brings another question as well, which is you have another comet on your toolbar, which is this one. Are you using that for shocking bosses? Well, the answer is no. I do have Ash's Radiance in there, but again, this is purely to swap in here, and the Unleash as well, just purely to swap in here. It's not this comet, it was this one. I did take it out of my toolbar. But the reason I had this here was to have a quick tooltip for changing around gem or changing around gear to see how it impacts my comet without like going through everything. So that is why I have the comet there, which I would take as an opportunity to quickly go through the skills I am actually not even using, which is the comet, which is the power siphon, and then I did sort a bit here. Siphon elements I'm not using, I did test around with it, but I did not like it. Elemental weakness I'm not using anymore, especially because we are running Rekiata's Flow right now. So I would only use elemental weakness if I don't run Rekiata's Flow. Then we have the Withering Presence. I'm not using this anymore as well. I have so much damage that the enemies can't really get any stacks of Wither, so it does not matter to me. Also my support runs a Withering Presence when we need it, so it does not matter for me at all. I would recommend Withering Presence if you feel like you just don't have enough damage on single target. Then we have Blasphemy, which I'm not using anymore as well. One of the reasons again is my support runs it sometimes anyway, so we don't care, and we don't really need the survivability anymore. I'm really tanky, my support is extremely tanky, so we just don't care. If you have trouble with survivability, you should probably use Blasphemy just to make enemies a lot slower, which makes just running maps a lot safer. Which also answers another question, which is how do you fit all the auras? Well, just as I just said, I don't. The only auras I'm running is Cast on Crit and Skeleton Clerics. My current spirit costs here for the Clerics, does it even show it? Is 19 for the Clerics with 21 levels on the Clerics, and 9, I believe, the Cast on Crit. Yeah, 90 on the Cast on Crit, because the quality of Cast on Crit is efficiency, is reservation efficiency, and I went with 23 quality here to have 11% reservation efficiency, which brings the down to 90 reservation. For the Skeleton Clerics, I went with +1 from Corruption, so I don't need to waste level 20 gem, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it makes a difference. It's cheaper. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go in D&D here. Have something like I have priced some tips weirdly, it does seem. Next question is, you have so little crit, how does that work out? Well, my crit is not that little actually, but I do see the point. For Cast on Crit build we only have 70 crit, most run 90 to 100, but you don't have to forget here that again I am running with a support who has the Malice aura, which makes enemies be more critable, and also my support is wearing a very strong scepter, fairly similar to this one, which like just gives a lot of crit to me and crit multiplier, and just boosts my paper crit to about 80, I do think, and then with the additional base crit on the enemy we just hit 100 crit very easily. So I'm pretty much at 100 crit, but if I was running without a support, I would probably put a little bit more points on the stuff like Critical Exploit or Controlled Magic, which both have decent critical strike chance. Here I do have all the crit chance, and you could also run stuff like Careful Assassin, but generally, if you're playing solo, I would go into probably about 80 crit. I don't think anything above 80 is really worth it, but test it out, how it feels. But aim for about 80 crit, and yeah, for me 60 or 70 is sufficient because I'm running with support. Next question would be my Cast on Crit triggers, but I don't see any comets falling down. Why is that? Why it's just not working? Well, the reason most likely is that if you're not running Blood Magic, your mana is not sufficient, or if you are running Blood Magic, your life is not sufficient. For me, I have a comet cost of 3,738 life, and I do have 3,768 life. So as soon as I'm losing 30 or more life, my comets will not come down. And this is one of the main reasons why I switched back to serious activities. I was tinkering around with the Heart of the Well Jewel, which has 16% of Leech Instant corrupted up from 15. But that sometimes was not sufficient to instantly fill up my life pool and I would not get custom crit triggers. And that was kind of annoying. I do think with a better optimized build, but mine already is fairly optimized, but with an even better optimized build with a stronger wand and stuff like that, probably stronger amulet as well, we would be able to get it full with every cast. But also I did have to drop some life costs on the comment then, and which would be detrimental to the paper DPS or the DPS in general, which in the end just led me back to its series, which are very good gloves, honestly. They're decent, nothing against them. I just like the idea of like rares. I don't know if I have my rares still around somewhere. There I was just running intelligence, max life, and energy shield, increase effect of socketed items, and crit damage bonus with 2 cast speed runes in there, which was a very good setup. It also had penetration for cold resistant stuff, so overall very strong gloves. But yeah, it just can't compete with the series due to the instant leech and the amount of triggers. Next question is, what is the core of the build and where do I start? Well, the most important thing for every single blood mage build out there right now is the Tegra Jewel, and you need that. You need an Undying Hate Timeless Jewel with the mod glorifying the defilement of X souls in tribute to Tegra. The number here does not matter really. Later on, what you do want is that the concrete attribute passives also grant +2 intelligence, so that your nodes just are a little better. When you're pathing downwards, you're getting more intelligence even here, but I was starting to path through the mid for the jewel socket and just for some more crit here, because we did end up dropping Utmost Offering due to a gem swap it with collects the minion within the soul offering. I have Brutus Brain inside the soul offering some, but I did that explain in a different video. If you're interested in that, check out the last video I made about the build. And that's pretty much it. The only thing we have left is, can you run Simulacrum? And yes, the build can run every single content in the game. You can check my shorts feed. I do think I made there a Simulacrum short where we just pretty much one-shot the last wave. And yeah, the build can do all content. It's very strong, especially in higher setup. So yeah, that's it for the questions, so let's dive into the giveaway quickly. First of all, yes, the giveaway is legal. We are not doing it on YouTube or on Twitch or something. We're doing it in-game. We will be on the global 1353, which is the global I'm using a lot when I'm doing stuff like this. So we do this on Saturday evening, Central European time, about 9 o'clock. So if you're interested in that, feel free to join. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to make somewhat of a game show with a lot of questions about PoE1, about PoE2, about maybe something different, maybe something streamer related. Usually when I do stuff like this, I try to have a good variety of questions so that even the non-nerds do have a decent chance of winning something. What we're going through all of these tabs I have prepared, which are 10 tabs I do believe, with some currency tabs in the middle, and for the tabs that don't have like crazy value but still are interesting, I've just added 40 divines to the tabs. This one, for example, has the Last Lament of a Friend who corrupted his to 360% increased physical damage, which is quite crazy. These go for a couple hundred divines currently on the market, though it is more realistic to sell it for like 100 if you want to sell it quickly, but still very strong. Stuff like my Grand Project tab with Paradise, couple of divines, a lot of my Abyss tab with like a bunch of ancient Moments of Light, Abyss tab, a Ritual tab with like 20 Whittlings, 6 Dexter annulments, and a bunch of other stuff. Like generally the overall value will be about 1,000 divines, not counting the characters, and I will be giving away both my characters, my Doedres character, which includes all the items, all the gear, all the gems, all the jewels and everything. And I will be giving away my other character, which is called Essence Drain, Contagion, class called Warbringer, I do believe. I've been playing him in a while, but a decently geared Warbringer as well. It's not like as insane as the other character, but still very strong, pretty cool gear overall, but not quite as insane as the other one. Because I was playing this as my league starter, and we've optimized him quite a bit, but it's not as crazy as the other one. But it's a cool character, so if you're interested in that, feel free to tune in Saturday evening at 9 o'clock. If you're interested in that, feel free to drop in on the 18th of October, 9 o'clock in the evening. So one last thing before we drop out is, what have I been up to? I did not play a lot of PoE2 lately. I just was checking my market every now and then, crafting a bit and stuff like that. But overall, the last update was not my taste, so just didn't like the mapping experience after. But we'll see, maybe in the next big update we'll jump back into it and we'll see. But I have been playing a lot of Minecraft with some friends recently, and I have started to build kind of a tree here. And that's what I've been streaming as well lately. So we have built a base and some farms, and this all is just in vanilla Minecraft. Because I kind of like vanilla Minecraft. Whenever like PoE dies out, I just chill there a bit and do some stuff. And if you're interested in seeing how we've built this tree or how I'm continuing to building this tree, basically we just had a base spawn which was fairly cool, like just above this hole. We thought, yeah, we might just build a base here, and then I just started to build a tree from the bottom up, and yeah, that's what we're currently doing. So I'll be streaming like building a tree, the PoE launch, I guess. So yeah, if you're interested in that, check out the stream, and I say thanks for watching and see you in the next one.